It is my distinct pleasure to address you this afternoon. Consistent with our declared intention to hit the ground running as a newly elected government, I would wish this afternoon to announce to the nation the makeup of the soon-to-be installed Cabinet of Ministers, Parliamentary Secretaries, and Government Senators. Indeed, the word soon might be misleading, for the ceremony for the swearing-in of the Ministers of Government and Parliamentary Secretaries will be held tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, May 27th, at Bay Street, just across from Government Headquarters. There will be personal invitations to persons who work in government, but members of the public are also welcome to attend and to witness the swearing-in of the People's Government. The road will be blocked off from the top of Bay Street further down. I should point out from the outset that the Cabinet of Ministers will be relatively large because I've not only considered the mandate given to us by the people, but also the scope of the work to be done and the level of expertise that is at our disposal among elected members. Since I will be holding ministers to very high standards of efficiency and productivity, I have therefore opted to share the workload across a significant proportion of the parliamentary group, rather than conform to the theory of a small cabinet, thus creating an unrealistic setting for members to function effectively and to produce in this prevailing environment. Given the dire state of our economy and the tremendous work that will be involved in rescuing and rebuilding this country, the salaries of a few extra ministers is relatively insignificant, given that there will be tremendous savings from the containment of wastage and the curtailment of corruption in my cabinet. You will see from the structure and layout of the cabinet that they are the traditional bedrock portfolios, as well as we look to embrace new concepts and opportunities. These include initiatives such as the pursuit of maritime exploits in our blue economy, the embrace by this Barbados Labour Party government of people for people's empowerment and elder care, the entire concept of innovation, science and smart technology, as well as the restoration of the standalone Ministry of Home Affairs, which will have responsibility for the police once again. These are all vital components of the new multifaceted government and economy we are seeking to create, all of which was outlined very clearly in our manifesto. Similarly, I should point out here that notwithstanding the nature of the composition of the lower house of Parliament, the law provides, indeed the Constitution requires, that there be 3 members of the Senate appointed to the Cabinet. We shall comply with the Constitution. It is in that vein that we have constructed the new government of Barbados, and it is now my pleasure to share the new members of our Cabinet with you, our employers, and the wider public of Barbados. I have discussed these appointments with Her Excellency the Governor-General, and the fact that our Constitution does not make provision for the appointment of opposition senators in the absence of a leader of the opposition. And that's one of the reasons that we were late this afternoon. We have discussed the need for an urgent amendment of the Constitution to allow the opposition political party securing the highest number of votes to recommend 2 appointments to the Senate, because we believe that even though there has been no official leader of the opposition, my government would wish to have accommodated the views of the main opposition party that secured the largest amount of votes. In this instance, we are effectively speaking about the Democratic Labour Party. It is only fair to the country that therefore those amendments be made to be able to secure their voice rather than to have them absent from the Parliament of Barbados. In the event that they fail to respond positively to Her Excellency, Her Excellency will appoint 2 senators acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister after the Prime Minister has consulted with organizations and interests which we believe to be important to be reflected in the Senate, so that the amendment therefore will speak to both of those issues. In the near future, we shall be making announcements of key persons on whom we shall depend to resolve issues in mission-critical areas. We propose to refer to them as czars, but those announcements will be made once the line ministers are in position. Following, my friends, is the composition of the Cabinet of Barbados. The Prime Minister will have responsibility as Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment, and will continue to hold responsibility for other matters pertaining to establishments and national security, but the ministry will be referred to simply as the Ministry of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, we are already aware, is the Honourable Dale Marshall. The Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training and Leader of Government Business, the Honourable Santia Bradshaw. The Minister of Housing, Lands and Rural Development, the Honourable George Payne. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade and Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Senator the Honourable Dr. Jerome Walcott. The Minister of International Business and Industry, Honourable Ronald Toppin. The Minister of Environment and National Beautification, the Honourable Trevor Prescott. The Minister of People, Empowerment and Elder Affairs, the Honourable Cynthia Ford. The Minister of Tourism and International Transport, namely the Airport and Cruise, the Honourable Kerry Simmons. The Minister of Transport Works and Maintenance, Dr. the Honourable William Duguid. The Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honourable Jeffrey Bostick. The Minister of Home Affairs, the Honourable Edmund Hinkson. The Minister of Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce, the Honourable Dwight Sutherland. The Minister of Energy and Water Resources, the Honourable Wilfred Abrams. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, the Honourable Ryan Strawn. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, the Honourable Marcia Cadell. Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, the Honourable Sandra Husbands. Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations, the Honourable Colin Jordan. Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Rural Development, the Honourable Charles Griffith. Minister of Youth and Community Empowerment, the Honourable Adrian Ford. Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, the Honourable Kirk Humphrey. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, the Honourable Indar Ware. Minister in the Ministry of Transport Works and Maintenance, the Honourable Peter Phillips. Minister of the Creative Economy, Culture and Sports, the Honourable John King. Minister of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, Senator Kay McConney. Minister of Information, Broadcasting and Public Affairs, Senator Lucille Moe. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Senator Dr. Rommel Springer. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Mr. Neil Rowe. The Chief Economic Counselor to the Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment will be Ambassador Dr. Clyde Maskell. I've also asked Dame Billy Miller to accept the position of Ambassador at Large and Plenipotentiary. Ambassadors Dr. Clyde Maskell and Dame Billy Miller will attend meetings of the Cabinet as required, given the difficulties facing our country to get out of these perilous economic situation. At the first sitting of Parliament, the Leader of Government Business, the Honourable Santia Bradshaw, will nominate the following persons in Parliament. The proposed Speaker of the House of Assembly to be nominated will be Mr. Arthur Holder. The proposed Deputy Speaker will be Mr. Glyne Clark, and the proposed Chairman of Committees will be Dr. Sonia Brown. I now propose to make and recommend to Her Excellency the following names for the Senate. Sir Richard Cheltenham. And on the first day of the Senate, the Leader of Government Business will propose that Sir Richard be nominated as President of the Senate. Mr. Rudolph Cappy Greenidge. On the first day, it is proposed that the Leader of Government Business in the Senate will also recommend Mr. Rudolph Cappy Greenidge as Deputy President of the Senate. Senators Jerome Walcott, Senator Kay McConney, Senator Lucille Moore, Senator Rawdon Adams, Senator Lisa Cummins, Senator Rommel Springer, Senator Rudy Grant, Senator Lynette Holder, Senator Damian Sands, and Senator Dr. Crystal Haynes. I am also proposing to appoint in my office of Prime Minister Ms. Pat Paris, who shall be appointed as Director of Public Affairs in the Office of the Prime Minister, and Mrs. Jessica Odell Barril will be appointed as my personal aide as of Monday. I will make further announcements with respect to the press secretary, and I'm hoping to be able to change the traditional press secretary to a Director of Communications and Social Media, given the changes in the environment in which we function, but I will make that announcement early next week. Thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.